During this lesson, we're going to discuss the hit. A hit is when a fish goes for your fly, and it's one of the most exciting times in fly fishing. But you know what? Most instructors don't even focus on the hit. They're assuming that a new fisherman is going to automatically know when a fish is grabbing their fly. But I know better. In this lesson, I'm going to break down the 3 times you'll have a hit and how to know the difference between a hit and when your fly is just dragging on the bottom. I'm also going to discuss refusals. A refusal is when a fish goes for your fly, but turns around at the last minute and doesn't want it. Very frustrating, but we have easy remedies for this. Nymphing hits. We will start with nymphing hits because that is when you're going to catch the majority of your monster trout throughout the year. If you watch the introductory lessons, you know that you have to position your nymph rig upriver and continue to mend your line as it goes down past you. What you're looking for is an unnatural movement in your indicator. What would be considered an unnatural move? It could be a dip, a wave, a slowdown in the pace, or a speed up in the pace. When I first started out, I found that I was not setting my hook nearly as much as I needed to. Even the smallest of takes can go unnoticed, so if you think it was a hit, set the hook. 9 times out of 10, it could have been just dragging on the bottom, but one of those rocks, it could be one of those monsters that you've been looking for. So how do you set the hook? I've spoken about setting the hook after you get a hit or a take, so let's break down what that is. When you see your strike indicator make an unnatural movement in the water, you're going to want to lift your rod over your shoulder and downriver. The reason you're lifting downriver is because the fish are always facing upriver. This will set the hook in the top lip of your trout, giving you the optimal location for control when it takes off. You'll be able to control the fish by keeping pressure on its head. We'll go into detail about bringing in your catch in the next lesson, but for now just remember to lift up and downstream. Next we'll move on to dry fly. When dry fly fishing, it's a lot easier to tell if you hit or take. Dry fly fishing, you don't have an indicator. Your fly is the indicator. So make sure that you're casting at a distance where you can visually see your fly. If you're one of those guys that can cast 50 yards but you can't see your fly, it kind of defeats the purpose. When you make the perfect cast and you see the head of the trout come up and take the fly, try and keep calm. Beginner fly fishermen always lose more fish by not waiting until the fish is taking the fly into their mouth and end up yanking it right out of them. Watch for the trout to come up and silently count a short 1/1000 before lifting your rod downriver and setting the hook. As soon as you set the hook, the fish is going to take off because it's already actively feeding and will be ready to run. So be ready to run with it if need be. So what if you see the trout come up and it doesn't take the fly? This is known as the refusal. And why does this happen? Well, it could happen for a few reasons. Number 1, the presentation was off. But before changing out your flies, make sure that your drift is natural, that you have no drag on it, and that you're not shifting your line in some manner that's unnatural. Try casting again with additional slack in the leader to assure a dead drift. Number 2, the trout wasn't actually rising, but instead he's chasing emergers. You can tell this by what you see on the surface. Most of the time when the trout comes up to rise, you're going to be able to see the white of his mouth. If you're not, he might be just chasing those emergers and bumped into your fly. But don't worry, in our intermediate videos, we have setups that will help you combat both of these situations to help you land more trout. Number 3, the trout has come nose to nose with my fly, but it still refuses it. This typically means that you have the right pattern, the right size, but you have the wrong color. Because of the clarity of water, trout don't actually see the color of the fly until they're right up on it. If they refuse your fly at this level, try swapping it out for the different color or the same pattern. Also keep the same size because the trout obviously liked what it saw before it came up to the surface. Swapping out your fly will also give the fish time to rest and get ready for the next meal you place in front of them. Now let's talk about streamer hits. Streamer hits, in my opinion, are the second most exciting hits in the water. You're mending in your line and all of a sudden it feels like your fishing buddy is messing with you on the other end of the line and tugging at it. Most of the time when this happens, your fly has been set. But you still lift your rod in a downriver motion as you do with nymphing and dry flying to make sure the hook is set. If you see a trout chase your streamer but not hit it, take this as a refusal. It most likely means that the movement of your streamer did not meet the standards of that particular trout. Try adjusting your retrieve and angle before swapping out streamers. What happens if you feel a hit, but when you go to set the hook, nothing's there? This type of refusal is very common in streamer fishing. Large predatory trout will bump out smaller fish for territorial reasons, acting almost like a stun for their prey. If you feel this, rest your retrieve for a second and then continue with your mend. I've had numerous takes on the second mend after a slight bump. Now that we've gone over hooking a fish, let's dive into our next lesson on how to bring that monster in.